Let's jump right into this explainer and demystify the absolute fundamental building blocks of the English language. Whether you're a native speaker just brushing up on the basics, or you're tackling English as a second language, mastering how words and sentences actually fit together is incredibly empowering. We're going to break down these essential parts of speech and see exactly how they construct meaning.
But first, get this. What's really wild about this number is that grammar is literally an ancient technology. Did you know that the sentence was first divided into subject and verb by Plato? Yeah, the famous philosopher from ancient Greece. That happened roughly 2,400 years ago. And ever since then, students all over the globe have found it pretty worthwhile to study the nuts and bolts of how language is actually built.
To make this super easy to digest, we're going to treat language like a step-by-step construction process across 5 foundational chapters. We'll quickly cover what grammar is, the rules of the capital letter, common versus proper nouns, singular nouns with a and an, and finally, the notoriously wild world of plurals.
Okay, Chapter 1. What actually is grammar?
So why even spend time on all these rules? Well, because skill in speaking and writing is absolutely key to getting your ideas across clearly. I absolutely love this old children's rhyme from our source text because it gives us this brilliant, bouncy map of how words do different jobs. Every name is called a noun, as field and fountain, street and town. It goes on to say, verbs mean action, like jump and run, and adjectives describe things, kind of like a magic wand. It's just a great reminder that grammar is really just a system for categorizing words based on the actual work they do for us.
Moving right along to Chapter 2, the capital letter rules.
To signal importance when we write, the capital letter, the big letter, the uppercase one, is basically the single most important tool in the toolkit. It acts like a giant stop sign or like a spotlight for the reader's brain. We use it to mark the very first letter of a sentence, letting everyone know, hey, a brand new thought is starting right here. Think about sentences like, the dog is barking, or come here. They always kick off with that big uppercase letter.
And here's a golden rule you'll use constantly. Always use a capital letter for the word I. No exceptions. Whether it's at the very beginning, buried in the middle, or stuck at the end of a sentence, I is always capitalized. I am 8 years old, or Tom and I are good friends. It never shrinks down to lowercase. Ever.
This brilliantly shows us the larger pattern here. We capitalize specific people, places, and times to make them stand out from everyday generic words. Talking about Alice, Tom, or Snow White, capitalize them. Specific places like the Bronx Zoo or London, capitals. And we use them for festivals, holidays, days of the week, and months too. Mother's Day, Christmas, Sunday, January. You get the idea.
Which brings us right into Chapter 3, common versus proper nouns.
This is all about the taxonomy of language, how we categorize our naming words. Remember that rhyme? Every name is called a noun. Well, those nouns fall into 2 main buckets. If a noun is just the general, everyday name of something, it's a common noun. This is your broadest category. We're talking general words for people, animals, places, or things. Think bird, hospital, basket.
I mean, whether you're a clown juggling pins or literally an astronaut floating around in deep space, those broad job titles are still common nouns. They describe a type of person, not a specific individual. Other everyday examples would be words like artist, lawyer, aunt, or baby.
But the moment we want to get specific, we bust out the proper nouns. This is where we name a particular, unique person, place, or thing. Notice how the common noun boy upgrades to the proper noun Omar, or how the generic country becomes America. Suddenly, because we're being specific, boom, we need that capital letter we just talked about. Your name, your best friend's name, yep, those are proper nouns too. Watch out for this trap though, because it catches a lot of folks. The days of the week and the months of the year are always proper nouns. January, Sunday, keep those capital letters handy. Interestingly enough, we also capitalize the specific names of oceans, rivers, and mountains. So the Pacific Ocean or Mount Everest, definitely proper nouns.
All right, Chapter 4, singular nouns and the classic battle of a versus an.
Now that we know how to name things, what happens when we only have one of them? When you have a singular noun, meaning literally just one thing, like a boy, a bus, or a van, you usually drop the word a or an right in front of it. The basic rule of thumb here is actually a really beautiful phonetic trick designed to make your speech flow. You use an before words that start with a vowel sound, a, e, I, o, u. So, an egg or an umbrella. And you use A before words starting with consonant sounds. A basket, a house. Smooth, right?
But wait, here's the secret exception that trips up so many people. The rule is based on the sound, not just the spelling. Words like uniform and university clearly start with a U, but when you say them out loud, they sound like they start with a Y. So we use a university. On the flip side, words like hour or honor start with an H, but that H is completely silent, so we use an hour. It's 100% about how it sounds when you actually say it.
Finally, Chapter 5, the frankly wild world of plural nouns.
Okay, let's multiply these nouns and step into what is probably the wildest part of English grammar. Usually, you just slap an S on the end of a word and call it a day. One bird becomes two birds. Simple. But if a word ends in a hissing sound, letters like CH, SH, S, double S, or X, we have to add ES. Why? So we can actually pronounce the thing. A fox becomes foxes. A bush becomes bushes. We literally need that extra vowel sound just to make our mouths work around the word. Now, when words end in a consonant followed by a Y, it becomes a bit of a math equation. You subtract the Y and you add IES. So a baby becomes babies. A butterfly becomes butterflies. But be careful here. If there's a vowel right before that Y, like in toy or monkey, you don't drop a thing. You just add the S to make it toys or monkeys. And don't even get me started on the F sounds. They shift around a lot when we go plural. Often, if a noun ends in F, we change it to a V and add ES. So wolf becomes wolves. Leaf becomes leaves. But because English grammar loves a curveball, watch out for stubborn exceptions like roofs or sheriffs, which just take an S. Even the word giraffe ends in FE, but just takes an S to become giraffes.
I absolutely love this fun fact from the source text, though. We all know the plural of the furry little animal is mice. But if you're talking about the mouse you plug into your computer, the plural can actually be mice or mouses. Both are totally correct. Oh, and while the plural of fish is almost always just fish, if you are specifically talking about different species of fish together, you can actually say fishes. And just to keep us completely on our toes, some words absolutely refuse to change at all. Words like deer, sheep, or bison are exactly the same whether you're looking at one of them or a herd of 100. Then, on the totally opposite end of the spectrum, some nouns are just always plural, like glasses when you're talking about the spectacles you wear in your face. So, there you have it. We've unpacked the basic toolkit of English, from capital letters and naming words to singular phonetic tricks and the absolute wild west of plurals. The only question left for you is, how are you going to use these ancient, powerful rules to communicate your own brilliant ideas to the world today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.